Hey everyone, welcome back to the Data Pour. I'm Steve McLaughlin, head of data at EPON Technologies. Today I am joined by the Senior Director of Data Engineering at Koalafi, Cameron Dobbs. Cameron, great to see you, my friend.
Steve, good to see you.
Shall we have some beers?
Let's do it.
After you. Cameron, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Now, we have been provided with 6 lovely beers, so we're going to jump right in. This first beer, actually made locally, is one of their pilot beers. It is called Starr Bright. I have never had this before. Have you ever had this?
Never had it.
Okay, so we're going in on our first one.
Let's do it.
Ready? Okay.
That is light.
That's quite good. It's a palate cleanser.
Yeah,
It's light.
palate cleanser. I like that.
Yeah, I might be going back to that between. That feels like a, ice cold Starr Bright on a hot day. Pretty good stuff.
Pretty
I
good.
like that. All right, Cameron, tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, where you work right now. Love to hear it all.
All
Spill
right.
the beans.
Yeah, so I'm Cameron Dobbs. Thanks again for having me, Steve.
of course.
It's a pleasure to be here. Work for Koalafi. We're a fintech startup here in Richmond, based down in Manchester, and we also have an office in DC. We offer point-of-sale financing for lease and loan products, and we work with thousands of merchants across the country. And I've been there about 4 years now, and it's going really well, working with a fantastic team over at Koalafi. So my position, head of data platform, is a fantastic position. So much exciting things going on in the data space right now, and it's really thrilling to be in the thick of it with all the new technologies and approaches coming out.
Right, there's so much movement right now in the space. It's very exciting. Everyone's talking about it, right? Has been for the last couple of years, but even the last year or so, it's just been it's been skyrocketing. So tell me about before Koalafi. What were you doing? How long have you been in data, and what got you into technology?
Yeah, so I kind of have an interesting background.
Everybody does. That's why I love asking that question.
Yeah.
Data nerds. There's not one path that gets us here.
No, yeah, actually I majored in economics.
Okay.
Coming out of school, I had no prospects, no idea what I was going to do.
Okay.
And I wanted to kind of step my foot in analytics and data. Had really no understanding of what the industry is or was at that point, just being young and dumb kind of thing, right?
Sure.
But I got my first role at Elephant Auto Insurance. Shout out to Patsy. She basically took a chance on me. My first manager. It's like, hey, I don't know if this kid knows anything. I didn't know how to write a SQL query. Let's bring him in and teach him from the ground up. So that's my entry into data and technology. And from there, I just really fell in love with it and continued on that trajectory.
Oh, very cool. Okay, that's awesome. How long have you been in Richmond? Your whole life, or?
No, I actually moved out here from Southern California.
Okay.
Around 2012. So I've been here about 12 years. Big difference from SoCal to Richmond. I love Richmond though. I love the culture, the quality of life, ease of life. Yeah. It's a big difference from Southern California.
It's a great place. You just don't get the weather.
That's right.
The weather here is not anywhere near the same.
But you do get the seasons.
You do get seasons.
Which is nice.
And lots of delicious craft beer. Speaking of which, we've got 6 beers to get through. So why don't we go ahead and jump into our next beer.
Let's do it.
This is Groove, and this is made at one of the Starr Hill locations, I believe at their headquarters in Crozet, but don't quote me on that. So cheers. Here's the Groove.
My friend.
I know nothing about this beer, so we'll talk about it. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Wow.
I like that a lot.
Is that kind of fruity?
Very fruity, very orangey.
Yeah, orange and tangerine.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's a good
You're picking up on it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Light, again.
Both of these fantastic summer beers. I mean, I want to crack these right after mowing the lawn or something.
That's drinkable. That's drinkable on a hot day. That's good.
If you weren't doing anything in technology, what would you be doing today? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think about this a lot. What if I just quit my job tomorrow? What would I do? Not that I want to quit anytime soon, but I kind of developed a passion for writing when I was in my younger years, teenager, going into my early 20s. I think I had a lot of teenage angst built up, and I felt getting my thoughts down on paper was a great way to
get it out creatively.
Oh yeah, creative, intent. So I love writing, I love reading. I don't get to do much of it now, but that's definitely a space I could see myself exploring, creative writing specifically. So I really enjoy reading, writing.
Do you do much writing today? Do you?
Not anymore. I haven't looked at my old scripts in quite a while.
Okay. I was going to ask, is there a genre?
Oh yeah. So I love sci-fi and I love fantasy.
Great.
I have these grand plans of writing a fantasy novel at some point before I die. We'll see if maybe ChatGPT can help me write that to get around to it.
Did you go to that presentation at the Data Summit, Fantasy Writing with Generative AI?
That was one I had to make a tough call. I had to choose another one for practical reasons.
I didn't catch it either, but my heart was there.
Yes. Yeah. So other than that, though, I really enjoy fitness, exercise, weightlifting.
Sure.
And golf is my hobby.
Very cool.
I have 2 little kids, so I don't get to do that much.
Yeah.
But I'd definitely be out there if I could.
Makes sense. All right, why don't we roll into our third beer and talk a little bit about our hosts today, Starr Hill. They are the second oldest independent brewery in Virginia. They were founded in Charlottesville in September of 1999. Further, they were founded in the Starr Hill Music Building, which is a really cool venue in Charlottesville. And music has really always been a part of their DNA. They're frequently at the music festivals here in town, and they've even served beer at Bonnaroo, so pretty exciting. So with that, let's move on to our next beer, which is Roxanne. This is a raspberry sour. Now, before I take a sip, I'm gonna warn you, I'm not a big sour guy.
Me neither.
There's not many I've loved, but hey, maybe this is the one to change my mind.
Ooh, that's almost like a cider.
Yeah, that's really not bad. It doesn't have the same, it's not as tart as I was expecting from a lot of gozos and sours.
Smoother, light body.
Yeah, very drinkable.
Yeah.
It's almost weirdly like it's almost like a champagne or something, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Cider, champagne.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good, pretty delicious, especially coming from a guy who does not traditionally like sours.
Yes.
Cameron, you mentioned you've been in data analytics for a little while. Can you tell me maybe a recent event or a recent initiative at Koalafi where data analytics and data engineering had a really direct impact on the business itself? I'm always interested to hear what's the real value of the work you do,
Yeah. So trying to express the value of data engineering work is sometimes very difficult. It takes a lot to explain to your stakeholders, hey, why this is valuable, what kind of payoff are you going to get from this type of investment. But a good example, just recently we did a large warehousing effort, which is basically getting our source data, modeling it in a proper way, star schema in this case, but choose your proper method that you believe in. But these traditional warehousing efforts is something I think a lot of companies aren't exploring anymore, aren't investing time into. So going through this project, coming back to this and producing this type of proper data model that's then consumable, it's business oriented, it's got proper governance and testing and quality around it, it really does pay dividends. We went through this effort to build this core architecture to enable one of our most important regulatory reporting and basically enhance it and really improve the data quality. And that was a huge benefit. And we could see the dividends of that pay off by reduced errors, reduced problems, better process. And that all comes from having this source of truth that's reliable, that is only not supporting this use case, but then becomes a source of truth for any of the other use cases across the business. And so that's when you can then turn on your data analytics team and say, hey, we have this new source of data that everyone now trusts and approves of. Use this, build from this, find out if there's anything wrong with it. That's always a fun task to give people. And that kind of investment really pays off. And that's what's hard to express in the long term, though, right? Because how does it pay off? Well, it pays off in reduced problems with data quality where people are scrambling to find the right answers. Hey, this number says this number says that. Who's right, right? Just trusting the data, the source of truth. It pays off from a performance perspective. This can be much more performant than hand-built queries by another team that is just not familiar with the data sources or doesn't build it in proper ways. So really in-housing all of that, bringing that information and governance and management into a single place really does add value. The trick is always expressing that value and talking to your consumers and having them understand that this is really valuable, not just now to produce this use case, but long term. And that's another thing I think a lot of people don't appreciate about data products. And a lot of people even don't think about data as a product, but that's a fantastic mind shift that we're in. And I think we're seeing a lot of people come around to that side.
Big fan of that, yeah.
is usually these data products are long-term investments. You build something like a new model, a new table, a new schema that's really important to the business. Those tend to last a long time.
Right.
We're in this world of microservice-oriented architecture where, stand up a new service, stand up another service, solve this use case, tear it down, change it. Very flexible in the software engineering world, where in data and data platforms, you really have to think longer term, I think, in my opinion.
Totally agree with that. Data is such an important asset of the organization. Tearing it down, changing things, you diminish the usefulness, you diminish the value of it. I do have to ask you, so many organizations try to do what you did, and they fail. I mean, depending on who you're quoting, it's like 80% of traditional warehousing analytics projects just fall flat on their face. What do you think worked for you all? What was there a secret sauce? And
yeah, it's a good question, and it is interesting how many projects fail. I think most of the time it's due to poor stakeholder buy-in, and that's with communication and organization. If you can communicate the value and you can organize the plan, the project plan, and the effort, because they're usually longer efforts, right? 1 to 3 to 6 to more months. Our effort was about 4 months in this case, and being able to communicate clearly and organize the plan, being able to express the value and come with an organized plan and execute on that while also having a really valuable use case. So in our world, in the effort that we just undertook, the use case was this very important external report that's like nuts and bolts business, or important to the business. And we say, hey, we're going to solve this use case by doing this underlying foundational work. And then people are like, oh yeah, to get there, we have to do this. And that's when you get the buy-in and the support, and they see that when you get the buy-in and support and you're delivering all the capabilities that you promised, the quality, the governance, the management, the performance, then that's really when people open their eyes and like, oh yeah, this is definitely worth the investment.
Yeah, and they start to maybe see the art of the possible rather than feeling like this is some nebulous, far off, thing that we can tackle and someday it'll pay off. They now see it, and that tends to get people more excited. Be like, okay, well, we've tackled that. Can we also tackle this? Can we also tackle this? And getting that buy-in from, I presume, stakeholders, decision makers that keep coming back to you all with good ideas. I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you're going to have to make decisions of we're going to focus on this project. That means we're not going to get to these other things, right? And that's where you need the buy-in to say, all right, this is important enough to commit these resources and see it through. And 90% warehouse usually doesn't add any value. You got to get to the 100%. To get that value.
Well, you mentioned data modeling, and that's a skill that I see missing, I think, from a lot of younger data engineers. How what was that experience like? I mean, did you have to really train some people on here's how you do a conceptual data model, here's how you do this and why?
So I was just talking to another colleague about this recently. I feel like modeling and architecture, data architecture, is really becoming a lost art.
It is. Yeah.
So I grew up, in my early days of my career, I was really blessed to be exposed to a proper warehousing initiative where we said, we have all this data, we got to organize it, make it business oriented so we can feed our consumers. And so I got to see a very proper project plan and implementation of that and carry that through the rest of my career and keep building on that. Nowadays, a lot of new analysts or even engineers, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years experience, they don't even know what a star schema is. They've never heard of these modeling approaches. Just the concept of primary key, foreign keys, and how data structures should be set up so that they're usable, they're performant, and they're business oriented is really what it comes down to. I keep rehashing that, but it's so important. And it's a lost art. Like there's not many people who go through these efforts anymore, so they're just not exposed to it. And the actual practice itself is just something you don't see very much.
Yeah, it really is. Are you a Kimball or an Inman guy?
Kimball.
Okay.
Yeah, but I get confused and I mix them up sometimes.
That's okay. Have you looked at Data Vault? It's a really cool.
We have implemented a Data Vault.
You guys did Data Vault?
Yep. Yeah.
That's so cool. I'm a huge Data Vault guy. I got certified not too long ago. Yeah, I love Data Vault. It's like the magical melding of third normal form, and
it is.
It's just like it's perfect, but it's complicated. I mean, the drawback with Data Vault is it's really cool, it's really performant, but it really does have to kind of be done right.
Yes.
If you kind of half do a Data Vault, it becomes a nightmare.
Yeah, that's a great point. And to jumpstart our Data Vault journey, we actually researched and found an open source library called Automate DV, which is a Python library for DBT,
I'm
which is
familiar
one of
with
our
it. Yeah,
core,
DBT I'm
which
familiar
are
with that
our
library.
core technologies we use for transformation and warehousing. So basically, you're just configuring YAML files, and that defines all your structures within your vaults, like your satellites, your links, your hubs, and that abstracts a lot of the actual engineering out of the vault build process, and that was really valuable for us. So we went from having no knowledge to reading a bit, using this library, to implementing a full-blown solution.
That's really cool. We're going to talk more about Data Vault because I'm a big fan, but why don't we move on and instead talk about beer?
Let's do it.
Let's talk about beer. That's more fun. All right, we're moving on to our next beer. This is You So Pineapple, which is a pineapple jalapeno blonde.
Ooh, I like jalapeno.
I'm excited about this one. I like all those things.
Oh, that's good.
That is really good.
I think that's my favorite so far.
That is fantastic. Oh man, I might have to buy some of this on the way out.
Yeah, because the fruit's not too powerful.
Yeah.
And you just get a little hint of that jalapeno.
Pineapple can overtake sometimes, but this is just pretty subtle.
You like pineapple on your pizza, Steve?
I do, yeah. I know, I'm a weirdo. I like it.
I kind of like it.
Not all the time. I have to be in the right mood for a pineapple on a pizza, but my problem is I like anything on pizza.
Okay.
Like, I'll experiment with almost anything. Truly.
There's a lot of purists that would throw a fist right now. But
you know what? I don't care about that. They're the ones missing out. They're the closed-minded ones. Another quick fact about Starr Hill, I did not realize this. There are actually 6 tap rooms throughout Virginia, including their headquarters in Crozet, Charlottesville, Lynchburg, here in Richmond, and other places as well. And each of those brew their own pilot beers with a pilot brewer on site. So we do get some that are made at sort of the mothership, and then some at each of the individual locations where they try some fun things out. So moving on, Cameron, let's talk a little bit about how you all leverage data engineering and analytics to do some of the core functions of your business, things like risk assessment and how you maybe approve people for their loans or other kind of key elements of the organization and day-to-day business. I'd love to hear how you all support that as well.
Sure. So short answer is my team does not support it very much. A lot of our core machine learning processes are done within our core system stack. So all of the processes involved to decision and application is run through our software engineering platform and our tech stack.
Right.
Where the data engineering team really comes in is consuming all of the data that's produced by these decision engines, and it's a lot. So we're talking large variant data structures, large JSON structures, and we have to get all that data into one place and then build a lot of models to parse out all that data, make it consumable, because then tracking performance over time, understanding how your performance is doing from a risk and credit perspective is where the data platform comes in.
Right, makes sense, great. Well, I want to get into talking about AI. I think that's going to be an interesting conversation. I want to talk about your predictions for the future. Before that, we've got 2 beers left. Why don't we dive into the second to last one? And I think this is one we've both already had before. This is their Northern Lights IPA. This is definitely one of their more famous beers, known locally, and it's quite a good one.
Yeah, I've definitely had the Northern Lights before.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's classic.
Yeah, you kind of can't go wrong, but it's a very, I don't know, I'm horrible at describing beer flavor, but it's like a clean tasting IPA.
Yeah.
You take a sip and you're just like, yep, that's pure, baby.
I think we would consider this a West Coast IPA, maybe.
I think you're right.
Definitely a lot of, it's not bitter, but you can taste the hops real strong in there.
All right, let's talk about what everyone's talking about. Right?
Yeah.
I want to hear your thoughts on this, but AI, it's changing the face of our business. It's raising data literacy, I think, nationally, globally. I joke all the time that my mom now knows what data management is and why it's important, at least at a cursory level. It's changing how we think about data in many ways. But how is Koalafi leveraging AI? You've already touched on maybe a couple of use cases, but and what does that look like for the future? I mean, what do you see coming down the pike?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think everyone is theorizing and no one really knows. I think we're in a real Goldilocks period right now where AI can be used to really assist development, assist decision making, become another source to really ramp up development time, ramp up quality. there's a lot of fantastic use cases for AI right now in the form of virtual assistants, I think. So when ChatGPT, Copilot, so we're seeing all these tools come online that is really to improve the quality of life of developers, any type of developer, which is fantastic. So how we've been using it and researching it within Koalafi is we actually put together a focus group. It's like, all right, we can do Copilot in VS Code, Copilot in Snowflake just came out recently, ChatGPT, Gemini. Hey, group, let's all get together. Everyone use it. make it part of your day-to-day job to use these assistants, and let's collect feedback. And what we discovered is it's very use case specific. So some of our Go developers in VS Code, Copilot becomes amazing. You can tab complete, it understands your structure, and it's giving you boilerplate code, or starting from a green field is fantastic. So we found some really good advantages there. ChatGPT, just for general architecture questions, code questions. I use ChatGPT in the regular. It's a fantastic tool for supplementing development. Like, say my Python skills are rusty. Me as an experienced data person, I know what needs to be done.
But the specific syntax sometimes.
Yeah. And that's reduced my development time tremendously. So I think approaching these tools as something to really supplement how you work is fantastic. Now, you can't give it a set of instructions and it'll build everything for you and deploy it and implement it. Call me crazy. I don't think we're that far away from that sort of world where you treat your AI assistant as an engineering resource, and you give it a set of tasks with loosely defined criteria or maybe specific criteria, and it can implement something for you. I think we will get there at some point, which is a very interesting future to imagine. But right now, I do think there's a huge value add and benefit to at least trying out these virtual assistants and seeing what kind of value they can add to your organization.
Yeah, for sure. Seeing all kinds of interesting use cases, and including personal life, right? Do you all use it at all? I mean, at home, you use any kind of AI? Yeah. I'd love to hear your use cases.
I'm planning a party for my mom. So, getting some planning event ideas. What should we do? Where should we go? But I've used it quite a bit. I think it's getting better and better every time I use it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I'll share one of my use cases because I think it's hilarious. Going to the grocery store is like one of the hardest things as an adult. Like, you have to plan everything. You have to think about meals every single day. That sucks. That's a nightmare. With ChatGPT, I can be like, hey, I want to eat these 9 things over the next couple days, lunch and dinners. Cool. What are the ingredients I need? And where are they in the grocery store? I get a checklist. It's like when you go to the produce section, here's what you get. It's amazing. It has made my life, it's made my marriage better. Because there's no arguing. It's just, we good? Yep, cool. Took care of it.
That's a good use case,
right?
Steve.
That's a pretty good one.
You're an intelligent professional, and grocery shopping is what you need help with the most.
It's hard, man. It's the hardest part of being an adult, is eating every day. Every day for the rest of your life, you have to think about what you're going to eat that day.
It's true. You got me there.
All right. Why don't we move on to our last beer, and then I want to hear about your predictions for the future. You've touched on a lot of it, but I want to hear all your hot takes. So here's the last one. This is one that I'm very familiar with. This is my go-to when I come to Starr Hill, which, for the record, is right across the street from EPON's headquarters, so very convenient for us. We can pick up our own Wi-Fi from the rooftop here. I don't know why I know that, but, occasionally. This has been the second office. So this is the Ramble On Juicy IPA. That's my favorite style of IPA. This is a pretty good one, so cheers.
Cheers. Oh yeah. Definitely had this one before.
Yep, that's good. One more fact about Starr Hill here. This is the only rooftop brewery in the city, which is awesome that it's so close to where I work day to day. Finally, this opened in December of 2019, so interesting time for a brewery to open up, but they're still going strong. They're still crowded, as you can probably hear in the background, and we're very excited for them. I want to hear your predictions for the future. I love that you've got a finger on the pulse of so many things. You're rooted in foundational data management, foundational data architectures, data modeling. You're in the world of AI. You're doing cool stuff at Koalafi. What do the next 24 months look like in the tech space?
Yeah, it's a good question. Some of the things I've been seeing really start ramping up or have a surge is around data observability.
Yes.
So we've actually had the opportunity to demo 2 different vendors and tools at Koalafi. Didn't work out for different reasons, but I think data observability and just the understanding of your overall quality of all of your data.
Yeah.
So not just this test, this use case, this one table. You can implement these tools, and if you have the money, because it's expensive,
Yeah.
in terms of compute costs, you can have data observability tools running on all of your data.
Right.
And this really gives you that granular understanding of what are my issues, what are my data quality gaps, and that's really powerful. And we haven't seen anything like that in the industry before.
Right.
I think they need to solve some pretty fundamental challenges in order
Right.
to make it available for everyone, for every organization, because I said it's pretty cost prohibitive right now.
It is.
But I can see that trend really expanding. So coming back to AI piece for that though, which is something that's really cool, which I'm thinking about exploring right now, is a lot of these data observability tools out right now is basically leveraging machine learning models
Sure.
to learn about your data, develop those thresholds, those parameters for,
Right.
is this broken, is this correct?
Right.
But tools like Snowflake, platforms like Snowflake, have recently introduced their own Cortex functions,
Right.
which gives you access to ML functions like anomaly detection. And so you can now take that and implement it over your own tables and basically say, hey, run this anomaly detection on this field, check for nulls, check for out of bounds, check for weird characters, whatever you think there could be an anomaly there. And it's basically ML as a service, off the shelf, out of the box. They give you a function you can run and tune a little bit to meet your needs. So I think as AI ML functions become more widely available, then you might see organizations take data observability kind of into their own hands and implement it targeted where they see fit. The companies will then be able to save a lot of money by not having to use these data observability tools, but implementing it on their own.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And in the old days, that was all done by hand. It's data profiling on massive data sets, and then informatica, data quality put in place, and it's all by hand and all hand developed. Where really 90% of those super repeatable. So these machine learning as a service, you can just plug and play for a lot of those fields, and then it can quickly learn your own kind of business rules outside of traditional checking for nulls and things. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. I think that applies more broadly to data management as a whole. I mean, not just data observability, data quality.
Sure.
I think AI is going to take a lot of that rote work that makes it hard to implement good data, maybe even data governance, and it's going to make it a lot easier, more accessible. Maybe not in the next 24 months, but I think 5-6 years, those problems are going to increasingly be solved.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I think AI can really leveraging AI for data governance. There's not a lot there right now that I see.
Yeah.
But I think there's huge potential. Let's put it that
so
way.
too.
Just the ability to describe your data, understand it, attach business context to it in some sort of large automated way that then, you have some person come through and manually tweak a few things. Because you've been there, the data cataloging, manually tracking definitions and context is so labor intensive.
It's a nightmare, and the value gets lost. It sounds great at the start, and then you implement it, and then everyone's in this quagmire, and quickly you forget why you even did it in the first place.
Yep. Yeah, so right now, data governance projects or cataloging projects, you really got to focus on what's the most important thing to invest our time into, and then when we get around to it, the less important things. But if there's a way for a more automated approach to adding that business context and relationship context to these data sets, that's going to be really valuable.
That's right. A still more glorious dawn awaits. Last question, Cameron. We've talked a lot about kind of some of the foundational practices data engineers maybe should learn about, things like that. I love asking people, what would you say to someone who's just now entering the field? They're new in their career, maybe they're making a change in their career. What advice would you give someone who's just now getting into the data engineering space?
Sure, good question. So this isn't specific to data, but my number one answer to this always is find a mentor. So when you're early on in your career, there's a lot to learn, and the best way to learn is from other people's experience and other people's mistakes. So if you can find someone who's going to invest in you, that's a tremendous benefit. I guess my second idea there would be find out how to find information. So what I mean by that is you're not going to know a lot.
Right.
So how do you find the things that you need to learn and you need to know. And a lot of people forget the most basic way is talking to people.
Sure.
I think we're so quick to go online, to go on forums,
Right.
to go to ChatGPT, which are all valid and you're going to have to use. But partnering with people that are experienced and asking them questions is super important.
Couldn't agree more with that.
The last thing I would say for people new in the space, data, I think this applies, but again, more broadly, is find ways to show your value. And that really means making your achievements visible, making your effort visible to others, not in a way where you're bragging about it, saying, hey, look what I can do, look what I can do. But really, data gets a bad rap, or I think if you've been in the industry long enough, you realize you're in the background a lot, doing the things that people don't see, maintaining the data sets and processes that people don't know about.
We sometimes joke we're the plumbers.
Yes.
You're like the IT equivalent of plumbers. It's really important.
Yeah.
And you notice when things are wrong.
Yes.
But you don't notice when things are going smoothly.
Yeah, and it is really true, and I've heard that before. And if you can show your value by attaching yourself to projects, by just raising your flag and saying, hey, we did this so that this could happen. We are enablers of these really important business processes. So when you're new, find projects, find opportunities to add value and show value and just make it visible.
Yeah,
I think
love
that's really important, someone new to the space. Don't be shy.
Yeah, that's great advice. And finally, I just have to follow up because so many folks have said mentors, and I've failed to ask this question. Is there one mentor in your past that you're particularly like, that person helped me grow so much, that person taught me so much? Anyone you want to throw a shout out to, maybe?
Yeah, shout out. I got a few, Patsy, my first manager, Philip Afline from CapTech on that first data warehousing project.
Yeah.
Tim McAleese, CFO at Elephant, he was a great mentor. Stefan Bauer. Yeah, the list goes on and on. But I've found some fantastic people that I've worked with in my time that I wouldn't be here or as far as I am now without their support.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for joining me today. Final question. What was your favorite beer today?
Definitely the Northern Lights.
Yeah.
Tried and true.
Northern Lights was good. I think mine might have been the Ramble On. It's my go-to. So till next time, let's toast to knowledge and connection, one episode at a time. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers, sir.